Today's show is brought to you by iTex Barter Exchange, where businesses can barter what they have for what they need, all without spending cash, and proudly located right here in Etobicoke, serving thousands of businesses local and across the country. Visit unlimitedbarter.com or check them on Facebook at iTex Barter Canada. This, my friends, is the Etobicoke Lakeshore podcast. That's right, Etobicoke Lakeshore. And as I was just saying before we started the show, it's a heck of a community. Hi, I'm Mike. Right there is Roger Tumanieri, the publisher of the Etobicoke Lakeshore Press.
Howdy, Mike.
How's it going, buddy? EtobicokeLakeshorePress.com. And it's a great publication. You and I were just chatting right before the show. This is a different kind of community. It's got such a warm glow, even through these tough times, that everybody's looking out for each other. The community is staying calm and collected. It's a different kind of vibe than many communities, I promise.
I would have to agree. And I think maybe you lose sight of that if you're in the community and you don't sort of know folks from other neighborhoods in Toronto.
Yeah.
But it's really kind of risen to the surface, and it's become quite evident that the people of Etobicoke Lakeshore have really stepped up, to the extent that I've started to feature some of these folks via, a new editorial contributor that we brought on to the magazine for the June edition. He's the Member of Parliament for Etobicoke Lakeshore, James Maloney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been highlighting heroes of Etobicoke Lakeshore on his Instagram page, and so I've pulled that into the fold, and I think it's a great theme. Certainly, people are going through some tough times, but there are a lot of folks who are stepping up to help others.
As you can tell, Roger is truck casting. I mean, you can come into the studio if you want at this point. We're allowed. We've set it up, but I have a feeling you just like to truck cast at this point.
I'm just stuck in the truck.
Stuck in the truck. What a great bumper sticker. We got to get that for the show. Many episodes as we've been persevering through social distancing. We've continued with the podcast because we felt it was really important to keep you informed. John Maloney, one of the examples of who came on the show. Sorry, did I say John Maloney? James.
Yeah, James.
My bad. Sorry, James. We had Christine Hogarth on. Mark Grimes came on. So even at local levels and provincial and federal levels of government, we've heard from everybody. Businesses in the community. Head back in time a little bit and listen to some of these amazing interviews, because you'll be blown away with how the community has pivoted and how they're working together to keep their heads above water and make sure we get through this together. You can subscribe at wherever you're listening to this podcast, and certainly you can visit EtobicokeLakeshorePress.com, and the show is there as well. Hey, we have a guest on today, right?
We do.
Who's today's guest?
Yeah, I'm excited to bring him on. His name is James Stack. He's a Mimico resident. He's also a member of the Mimico Residents Association. I was connected to James from Susan Nagy, who is the executive director of Lakeshore Arts. We actually had her on the podcast.
Yeah.
With Cassia Morris a month or so ago. We had a great chat with them. And James is doing really something pretty cool. So let's bring him on now, and maybe he can explain all the coolness about what he's up to these days.
Absolutely. James, welcome to the show, remote as it may be. Thanks for dialing in on Zoom with us and taking part.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on. Zoom has become a regular occurrence in my life, almost on a daily basis. So it feels pretty normal nowadays. But no, yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. And like Roger had mentioned, I'm a board member of the Mimico Residents Association, and that's something that I joined up with this year. And so, we got involved, and it started about March is when they do the board elections. And that was basically right when this whole pandemic started to unfold in our backyard, as opposed to just on news headlines and what's going on in Asia. So things change pretty quickly. And a lot of what we do is based on like events and awareness and creating that community sense. And a lot of the stuff we'd done in the past it's all in person, a lot of it. So that had, that obviously had to change. And so we started to brainstorm and think of some ideas of how we could, do something for the community and to bring awareness to our community and to help support people because, this is something that none of us have ever gone through. So that's sort of how the genesis came about it, in terms of these video series that we started to publish and put out on our social media feeds, just supporting local organizations and businesses and bringing awareness to them.
Let's get there. Let's find out a little bit about you. How long have you lived in the community?
Yeah, so I've been in the community. My fiance and I have lived here for 2 years now. We moved here. We lived in the Queen West area. We moved down there because for work purposes, really, and we loved hanging out in the city. We had friends that lived in the area and stuff, so that kind of brought us into Toronto. We grew up in I grew up in Caledon. She grew up in the King City area, so not too far from.
I went to
Toronto,
King City High, man.
There you go. Yeah, so you're an alumni just like Claire. So. Then we moved down to the city, and then 2 years ago we were looking to get out of the sort of the condo living and wanted to find a place where we could, kind of call our own and that had sort of a community feeling to it a little bit more and a little more of a small town vibe to it. And that sort of brought us to Mimico.
It's so funny because, you can move to Mimico if you want, but you've been there a short time and already you're on the Residents Association. Being part of a community must mean something to you.
Yeah, it was important for me to get to know people in the community and to start to build roots here because we want to have a family and we want to be involved and so I thought this was a great way to do that, to meet some people that are like-minded, that have that sense of community and are trying to be a part of something bigger. So I learned a little bit about it and, went to a couple meetings that they were having and they needed a few people to join the board. So I, was all for that.
Oh, good for you. That's, you bring positive energy to the community by making changes in it and looking out. And then, of course, you guys, Roger, this blows my mind. Like you and I, we got to podcasting, talking with all of these different, residents and different leaders in the community and business people. And in parallel to that, over here's the Residents Association saying, as residents, we care about these businesses. We care about these people keeping us, supplied, and we want them there on the other side of this. I think that's really cool, Roger, that this is, it's not just one of us out here doing it. The community is doing this.
Yeah,
well.
People get it. People get that the lifeblood of a neighborhood for the most part is the retail landscape. All these, mom and pop shop owners, they put their heart and soul into these retail shops, and it really does make a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to see folks like James stepping up and jumping in and helping out. I think a lot of people, they just kind of sit around and expect stuff like this to happen and then just benefit from it. So James, I'm happy to see that you're the kind of guy who kind of puts his hand up and is proactive and wants to kind of be a part of something bigger, like you mentioned. Without folks like you, I think we'd have a really different community around us. So really happy to see you guys have taken that initiative to reach out, wrap your arms around this small business community and do your best to help them.
So how did you guys get this going? What was the inspiration? Tell me about the process.
Yeah, so it all kind of came together in a very short period of time. We basically held our first meeting as a new board in I think it was March, and we were brainstorming some ideas because we had events that we were going to host in the summer that we do on a regular basis, and we have one like a Halloween dance and stuff. So we were talking about the fact that a lot of that is likely not going to be able to happen. And, what other sort of stuff can we do that's conducive to the current environment that we're in? And so we just were brainstorming, and then we talked about some ideas of like, maybe we asked residents to send us some videos that talk about how they're coping with this. Then we thought, maybe they were just going to get a bunch of videos that, and maybe it might just be too much. And so that evening after the meeting wrapped up, I was just kind of thinking, how can we kind of take that idea, but make it a little bit more targeted. And so I was just thinking maybe we should do it for businesses, because we know a lot of these places are going to be struggling from what's happening here. And it's really going to affect the way that they can conduct their business and stay in business when this is all over. And I thought that, just going out and filming some videos and getting their story and just really getting a sense of, what they're going through would be beneficial. And people, I think like to hear local news. Like I think you get a lot of, you always see the headlines. It's always, on a larger, more national scale a lot of times, but people are concerned about what's going on right here on their doorstep. So, I just reached out. I started by reaching out to some of the business improvement areas, the BIAs, and getting in connection with them. And they were all on board, the two that are within Mimico themselves. So I sent them sort of a write-up in terms of, here's my idea, here's what we want to, sort of put on some of our social media feeds and bring awareness to this. And so they were all for that, and they were willing to send that information out to the business owners themselves. So I wrote up this email, they sent it out, and I got some responses from owners and directors of organizations that were interested in doing it. And as you mentioned, Susan Nagy, she was the first one that I connected with, that connected Roger and I. So we did a video and we just talked about what's going on, how this, pandemic has affected their business, and what are ways that we can still support them. And so it just kind of built from there. And then I was doing videos kind of, 2-3 times a week and trying to get them up and doing some minor editing on my phone using an iMovie application that you get with your phone. So it was kind of all, learning on the fly. I was reading up, interviewing tips, what should you be asking? How do you frame questions?
Great.
Just to kind of get a sense of, what to just try and add some level of professionalism to it as well.
Never ask a yes or no question. That's what I learned in broadcast school, Roger.
Is that true?
Yeah, is that true, James?
Well, that is true, yes. And the other thing I learned was
I asked him a yes or no question, and that was a terrible chain of yes or no questions, and still he answered like a good guest.
Yeah, that's right. And well, the other thing I learned was that it's always good to get them to repeat the question when they answer it. So when you do the editing, you can sometimes edit yourself out.
Yes, sir.
So that was an interesting thing I learned.
If you've got some time to come by the pod plant, we could use this kind of expertise. Well, that's really cool. And how many have you done so far?
I think we've published 10 or 11 videos, and we did 2 with the who was it with? The Jean Augustine Center. We did one with the director and one with Jean Augustine herself. And then every single other one has been just like sort of a single business or organization. So we reached about 10 different businesses. We've taken a little bit of a break right now, but my colleague Mike, who's the president of the MRA, he's a real estate agent, but he did the most recent one with Ed's Real Scoop, and he was able to use some of the guys that do his real estate videos. So it sort of added another level of video editing professionalism to it, and it came out really well. So I think, it's something we're going to continue to do. Maybe not in quite the same frequency, but we're still going to, there's still lots of other businesses that may be interested in doing this. So it's been a pretty good little run that we've done over the last month.
I think this is about the coolest thing ever. Obviously, we love the digital media side of things, Roger and I, but more than that, what I really like is that some people got together and said, you know what, we can do this and highlight some of the businesses and show the spirit of the community. Where are people watching the videos right now?
Yeah, so we get the largest viewership on our Facebook page because we have close to 2,000 followers there. So that is really.
I don't think it would kill you to post this podcast there later on. Just saying, that sounds like you got some good We'll take any of that you got. So go ahead and share this right there on your Facebook page. Sounds like 100%. We might get an audience.
I think 100% that we're always open to that stuff. Anything that is going to help generate a sense of community, that's what we get behind at the MRA. So 100%. We also have an Instagram page, but it's not nearly as much as followed as well as the Facebook page. So we've got people that are sharing the videos as well. So it's not only, we get it out to our network, but then we've had a lot of these videos multiple times are shared. And then obviously that opens up a new network of people to view it. So it's getting around. And I think there's a little bit of buzz behind it, which is pretty cool to see.
In my neighborhood, guys, there is a ratepayers association. That's what it's called. And on that ratepayers association is, and God bless them, they're all my buddies, they all went to school back before power in the town. There's a desperate need for new energy and younger vibe. And you're a young man. I think that right away you're showing the MRA that you've got ideas that are going to change the way that we interact with people, and I commend you for it. And congratulations to the MRA just for getting out there and doing this, man.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate that. And I think you're right. Like there's, you have to adapt, and you can find some silver linings in any situation that you find yourself in. So I think, you gotta, think of something, and then, like you said, it's sometimes you get great ideas. And I'm a guy who is always thinking of ideas, but you don't execute on all of them, but once in a while you gotta pick something and just kind of drive it forward. And I think there's a lot of good that can come out of that.
Well, this is amazing. All right, well, we'll recommend people get in touch with the MRA through their Facebook page. You can see the videos on there, and please feel free to share them with everybody that you know in the community, because the more people that see it, the more tightly we become knitted as a community. You want to support your local businesses. You want to support your local restaurants, and so find out a little bit more about who you're supporting and what they do. This is a really good way to do it. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. I really appreciate you having us on and giving us the time and another platform to sort of share what we're trying to achieve. So I do really appreciate it. I know everyone else on the board and our organization appreciates it as well.
We'll stay in touch. The more you do, the more we want to know. So we'll chat with you real soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, James.
Roger, this is you picked the right neighborhood to publish a magazine. Everybody loves everybody here.
It's a fantastic neighborhood. Yeah.
I mean, okay, and do me a favor. I've had a couple of emails from people asking me what areas are encompassed in South Etobicoke in your mind, because they're starting to fall in love through the podcast with the area, and I don't blame them. What areas are included?
Well, just to make it really simple, I mean, we're talking about Etobicoke Lakeshore, so the electro riding, which is essentially Bloor Street west over to the Humber River, south down to the lake, and west to just past Browns Line to the Etobicoke Creek. So it's a fairly large area. Most of the focus for the magazine thus far has been on the south end of that, but we're starting to kind of branch a little bit further north into the Queensway and the Kingsway. But it's a fantastic area. It's a big space, and it's kind of like step by step over the last 5 years. I've started to started in Long Branch, grew a little bit out into Alderwood, New Toronto. Now we're distributing magazines into homes in Mimico, and the plan is just to keep growing.
It's really cool. If you've never picked up the publication, you're finding out about it through this podcast. Make sure you give it a look. EtobicokeLakeshorePress.com. You can flip through the whole magazine there. They've got this great technology. But more than anything, what they've got is a bunch of great stories and contributors alongside a pretty interesting and all-encompassing guide over a number of issues of the businesses in the neighborhood that you could get to know. And I think that's what I love the most about this community. Then we meet James Stack just now. Cool dude, young man. Vibrant, about to embark on family life, hopefully, and marriage and all this thing. So he's a young family in the neighborhood with just as much positivity and desire to be a part of the community as people who've been there for 50 years.
Yeah. And it's great to see. It's, there's a lot of folks who have lived in that area for so many years, and I don't blame them. Why would you move? But now we're starting to see an influx of new residents, and it's great to see folks like James and his fiance. They're coming in with lots of energy, and it's energy focused in the right direction. Yeah. I think it's altruistic, and they're conditioned to help, and I love helping people who are helping others.
Yeah.
And so, after this, I'd love to talk to James about how we can maybe kind of connect a bit more. Maybe there's a way for me to connect my website to their Facebook page and do a bit more in the magazine to help the Mimico Residents Association. I'm sure there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
And it all kind of dovetails nicely into the community edition for June, which I just posted last night. So that's up on our website at EtobicokeLakeshorePress.com. It's going to be on the press this afternoon and out into the mail cycle shortly thereafter.
All right. So I will recommend, once again, subscribe to this podcast, share it with the neighborhood, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Mike.